Hey everyone, welcome back to the shop. We have parts in for the limo, and that's a good thing, kinda. I I don't even know how to explain it. You do hours of research, tens, maybe hundreds of hours of research. You found the correct part, the only part that fits, and you found a replacement, and you get it shipped, and there's a delay in shipping, of course, and so then it finally shows up, and you're super excited, and you can't install it. Isn't that the great part? So I'll show you the stuff on the fuel level sender unit that isn't going to work and just makes things a little more difficult. You thought you had everything under control. You thought it was a full kit. You were wrong. Lesson learned. And it's also one of those things you can ask someone. I had a buddy in one of the group messages say, just send them an email or use the contact us form. The the give a shit in those emails and the contact us forms is an incredibly low percentage. And if you're asking an extremely technical question, you're not getting a reply. Also, you're not getting, if you do get a reply, it won't be in any timely manner. It'll be days or weeks later, way after you need the part. So it's not usually worth it. The give a shit level online, for the most part, is extremely low, like low, like Ron Jeremy's morals low. It's it's pretty damn low. So uh, you kind of have to do things on your own. You have to test, check return policies because you might have to order two or three different and find the one that works the best. But this is why we do this stuff, because we want everything to be perfect. We want it to work 100% every time. So I can't half-ass stuff. I can't get stuff close, or that's good enough, or good enough for government work, that sort of thing. I can't do that. That doesn't work for me. And that might work for some people, but it might not work for others. And if you guys are wondering why I look like I'm oiled up for a WWE match, that is mosquito repellent, because I have the garage door open for the Viper, and I was moving the Miata around because I'm going to an event tomorrow. So I had that door open so I get the cover off. Every single mosquito in Charlotte County came in here, and I'm like, no. And also, I noticed that I had the bursitis came back in my elbow, so I have this brace on here, and it's going to work. I don't know if it's work. It said it was copper infused. I don't know if you guys remember that bullshit from a few years ago. I don't know, maybe 10 years ago. They got like Brett Favre, and they got a whole bunch of sports athletes, to like promote this copper infused bullshit. And it doesn't do anything. It's copper in the threads. It doesn't. There's no medical benefit to any of it. It was really funny. People bought it though. People believed it, and then they went out and bought the product, and whatever. There's a sucker born every minute, right? That's what PT Barnum said. So anyway, since I do kind of have the right part, but I don't have all the parts for it, these kits normally come with a locking ring, which this did come with, and they usually come with an O-ring, a new O-ring for that locking ring. This did not come with that. This also did not come with, this is the brand new unit. It did not come with a screw, or sorry, a nut for that. So when you put this isn't obviously the correct lead. When you put your lead on there, there's no way for it to stay on. Now, most of these are going to be a thread grabbing 90-degree, but in our case, we actually have an eyelet that has to go on there and a nut has to go on there. Hey, Kev, you should use the one uh, from the other unit. Yeah. Hey, there's a good idea. We'll just use the, now this is called a Keps nut, and this is going to be very hard for you guys to see. I'm gonna get some pliers just so I can show you guys. I have pliers here, I swear. So on a Kep's nut, do you see those little teeth on the bottom? That's called a Kep's nut. And that's to provide contact between metal pieces. And it gives a little grip to prevent it from self loosening or self liberating, whatever you want to call it. So these are called Kep's nuts. Why don't you just use the nut from the old one on the new one? Because it's metric and inch and it doesn't go on there. So now I have to go to the hardware store and get a single damn nut just for this to work. That sucks. The good part is the ohmage is correct. The other good part is it is the correct depth for the tank. It's the correct angle, and the float works. I'll show you guys the float and the level. Now here's the other difference is you can see the difference in the fuel socks. Now this one actually doesn't have a sock. It actually just has a strainer. And this is definitely preferred, but this is also probably 30 years old and he's slowly coming apart. So maybe somewhere in the future I go get another sock, a new one. This is a strainer and these guys fail all the time. So I'm not super hot on that. Of course, in the picture, when I ordered it, it had a sock like this and it shows up like this. Also in the picture, it had a round level bar like this, not the oval shaped one. So uh, then you can also tell the other major difference. This one has 3 pipes. This one only has 2. That's because this is uh, before emissions. Emissions picked up in the late 70s, early 80s, and got super big. Now, this was set up to be an emissions one. It's ready for a third pipe. What that third pipe is that is the evap. And you can kind of see it just catches the vapors in the tank. And it goes to a charcoal canister that's mounted in the body of the car. And this collects the vapors so that you don't kill the environment. It's not really helping anything, but it does make you feel better, even though it's doing nothing. Uh, we have our return here. And like I said, on the other one, the return is right here. It's just in this big cup and it drips out here and drips out here. This one has a different return. It doesn't have that big cup. In other words, it's made very cheaply. And it just has this little diffuser strainer thing. So that's kind of nice. It'll help, you know, both of these versions help make sure that you don't get a bunch of foaming and bubbling in the tank. But this is definitely the cheaper way to go versus building it. This is a much, much more solid unit than this just by feeling it. So there's kind of the big differences. I'm just going to set that guy to the side. So I wanted to plug this in. I have the gauge set up and the battery just to show you guys how these things work and that this one does work with our gauge. So what we're going to do is this is going to get capped off. You go to the hardware store, you get a thing called a thread protector, and it's a little rubber cap that goes on here. And we will fill this with hot glue. And I mean, we can cut it off anywhere we want. We might actually cut it short. Although I do like the flare on the end here. So, and it's not going to really interfere with anything. So we'll fill this with hot glue at the end. And then we'll use some concrete adhesive inside the thread protector. It'll go on there, a very small zip tie. We're going to call it done. And that will prevent evap from here. I might fill this with hot glue too, depending on how things go. What are those 3 little marks? That's like a check mark. Anyway, this is our rheostat. This is what we call a rheostat, and it measures resistance across here. So I'll show you guys how this works. I'll bring the computer a little bit closer. What does this say on here? Made in Mexico and FG10C. So this label will also come off of here. shortly, maybe now. And the other good part about this, about needing parts, is I can clear coat this and give it a little bit of protection. Um, so it'll last a little bit longer. Now, the other good part is I can use the old locking ring, and although I might just clear coat the new locking ring since I'm already going to be clear coating this. Trying to get this off without a ton of adhesive sticking to it, but it's not working very well. I don't need the part number on there. No one else will. So, and with the clear, it's probably going to mess it up anyway. So there we go. Get rid of that. So I'm going to hook this guy up and I'm going to show you guys how it works really quick. So first thing we'll do is I just want to show you the range of the rheostat and how it works. So I'm going to bring you guys over here. Get a little bit closer. We got our nice Harbor Freight multimeter, and we are going to take our leads, and our black goes to our ground. And it's kind of nice. They provided an eyelet with the ground, and that's cool. And then our other one will go up here to our main. We will come here. Red goes to red, black goes to black. Where'd he go? Come back here. These little alligator clip wires are awesome. It's nice to have. I have a set for these as well. I just don't know where they're at. So I'll do this and I'll turn on the light for you guys. Hopefully you can see that. Maybe. Nope. Not a chance. Do it at an angle. Okay. So get this out of the way. So the tank is completely empty right now. This is at the bottom, and this float will hopefully level out like that. And it's showing me 1.2 ohms. And as I raise it, you can see the ohms going up. Now, that says 45 ohms. That should be about halfway. That's just under halfway on the sweep of the arm. So this is reading correctly. Should be almost 70 right there. And we should be almost at 90 all the way up at the top. We're at 92.9. So this has a sweep of about 91, 92 ohms, which is perfect because our gauge up here is 0 to 90. So we'll unhook this and we'll hook it up to our gauge, and I'll show you how the fuel gauge works. So this guy goes to ground. He comes to ground over here. And then we have our signal wire, which for some reason is black. I don't know why. And can you guys see the fuel gauge? Should I bring it closer? Can you see the fuel gauge now? Kind of. Trying to keep this as clean as possible. Whoa. And this is just hooked up to my little Noco battery. So now we have our ground hooked up and our lead hooked up. We can watch the fuel gauge rise. And he'll go to a full tank. You know what? Maybe if I juiced him up, I don't know if I have a good way to get him lit up. Maybe he stays lit up right there. Okay. That's just temporary. So try and get this for you guys so you can sort of see it. So now we have a full tank, and I'm going to come down to where halfway should be. Should be right about there. I'm looking at it from a distance, so I can't really see it. Oh no, we got to come way back over here. Should be about half a tank. And it looks like we're pretty darn close to half a tank. And then we'll come down here. This should be about a little less than a quarter of a tank. Yeah, we're right at a quarter. And then this should be all the way empty. He's super empty. So the gauge works great. He does a full sweep, and he's actually nice and smooth because this is a stepper motor in here. It's not a spring dial, which is really nice. So it does give a very smooth sweep. So yeah, we're pretty close. We should be just past 3/4, a little bit more, 7/8, and then all the way to full. And yeah, we can actually go a little bit past full. So that's why they have a little extra reading on it. So if I just did this by sight, I'm going to say that's half. Yep, just under. And that's obviously empty. So our gauge does work. Our fuel sending unit works, but we're going to have to modify the fuel sending unit before we can put it in the tank. So we can't do that tonight, which sucks. I really wanted to, but that's not really an option for us. So we're going to get some clear coat on this, just on the top face here. And actually, the part number is lasered in to the edge here, so the sticker wasn't really necessary. And we're going to go get a nut for it tomorrow, and that way we can, have the terminal actually connect there. And then we'll also get a thread protector, hot glue this, and then cover that up so that it's totally sealed. And that's it. And then this should last for another 20 years. These are very simple units. They don't mind being submerged in gas. They're okay with it. It doesn't really affect any way they read. Like I said, I'm not hot on this type of filter, this little screen thing. I'm just having flashbacks to like Subaru, ACVS, whatever it is. The filter screens. These are just, it's not a good way to go. It's a super cheap. Also, these things break down really quick, and I'm just not my preferred way to do it. But this isn't really the only one on the market. There's one other one, but it's like $300, and it looks exactly the same. It's probably made by the same company in Mexico. They just put it in a different box. So let me find out what size this guy is. I'm gonna move my weed trimmer back to where he should be. Actually, yeah. Whoa. So let's take a look. Do we think he's metric? I think he's a 5 mil. I don't know. Let's take a look here. Oh no, that was 6 mil. So he is a 5 millimeter. A 5 millimeter stainless steel nut. Wish me luck on finding one of those local. Okay, it's probably not gonna happen. Oh, this thing just coiled around me. Okay. So that's a M5. M5 by 0.8. So that's what we have to find tomorrow. And that will be, then this thing will be ready to go in. Now, one other thing that I do have that I wanted to show you guys that I'm super excited about, and I did score locally, was some cable for the license plate actuator, sending it up and down. What I did realize today is that that actuator is going to have to run through one of the relays. So it's not like the fuel pump where the Holly controls it and sends it on off. It's going to have to go forward and reverse. So it's going to have to reverse voltage. So I'm going to need a relay in order to do that. So I might have a lone relay on the board that I'm getting. I've got uh, the new board. You guys, you can laugh at this all you want. I got a cutting board, just a uh, polyethylene or whatever the hell it's made out of, HPDE, HDPE, high density polyurethane cutting board, just a white one, and it's I don't know, I think it was 14 by 10, something like that, and that's what we're going to mount the relay panel to. That's what we're going to mount the remote control for the door poppers. All that's going to be get mounted to that. Now, the reason I got that is number one, it's super cheap. It was less than $10. Number two, it's waterproof because it's plastic. Number three, anything you screw into it is actually going to hold, especially if you heat up the screw. That's a little trick if you're going into plastic. If you give the screw, like just hold a lighter on the screw before you put it in, the magnetic bit, just hold a lighter on it and zoom it in. It's basically like Loctite for plastic stuff. So it's going to work really great for drilling. And it can also be shaped really easy. So if I need to do a cutout, for an access panel or an access section for one of the body pieces or whatever, I can trim that stuff real easy. So that's what's going to happen. That will be here tomorrow as well. So we have a bunch of electrical connectors we'll go through. We have the new mounting plate for that. Like I said, we're going to do a double relay for the plate actuator up and down. We'll still get power, switched power from by the fuel pumps, same line that goes to the fuel pump, but we're going to have a different relay that goes down once, goes up once. So key off, it'll reverse power and pull it back up. So we do have a lot of stuff that got taken care of today, but we did get a surprise with this and not having a nut and also filling in that third pipe. What's really funny is if you look, I don't know if you guys can see it here. Let me get this thing out of the way. This is barely, it's not even in the little, maybe you can get a good view there. He's not even in the little holder for it. Like they didn't crimp him down. He just kind of comes up and over. It's more for looks than for anything. So again, this is what we're left with when we have vintage stuff. This is the best you can get. I'm sure the other one is going to be exactly the same. So this one will work for what we need. It's going to be just fine. So I'll get that clear coated tonight. I've got a whole bunch of car events tomorrow. So we'll come back here tomorrow night. We'll be able to put the fuel tank back in because this thing will be ready to go. And we'll also have all the electronic stuff to put in there. I'm just looking over here at the tank straps. They have the new foam at the bottom of the tank straps to keep the gas tank smooth. And they're ready to go in. The bolts have been derusted. So, I mean, basically it's ready to go in. We've been waiting on this part. And this part now needs stuff that we didn't know it needed. So this is why these custom builds take so long. You think you have everything covered and you don't. And, you know, uh, thinking that it came with a new rubber O-ring, that was my fault because every single other kit comes with it. This one doesn't. It's like, okay. So yeah, it gets very frustrating. And never ever assume when you're buying spare parts from anyone, never assume that they God, yeah, bug stuff everywhere. Never assume that they know what the hell they're talking about, and never assume that they actually did go check the box and look inside and see, oh yeah, it comes with an M5 nut or it comes with a grounding strap. Never. I'm sorry. I hate to do that to you guys, but until further notice, Never believe anything. So not until, they can send you pictures, they can send you video. That'll help. That doesn't mean you're getting the exact one you want, but hopefully it helps. And then, you got to have your hands on it. And when you know exactly what you want, it's terrible because you know exactly what you want. And very few people understand that that's exactly what you're looking for. That's the hard part. So we hope for the best, and usually it's pretty close or it's pretty damn good. This one's way off, way different than the picture, especially with the sock, the float, and not having the nut, um, and not having the O-ring. So you think you got everything, you don't. But we're gonna kick ass. We're gonna have a really nicely wired car, and for the first time in probably 30 years, this car is gonna have a gas gauge, which would be really cool. Also, just to show you guys how this is set up, my cheapo Fast and Furious faux carbon fiber gauge pod, gas gauge will be on this side. This will be open. I'm just going to fill it in with a piece of foam. And then this side will have the air pressure gauge for the airbags. So that'll be nice to have all that kind of in one little pod. Um, I don't really, the rest of the gauges I have on the Holly Sniper, and for speed, I can use my phone. But this thing, you're just gonna kind of go with traffic. You don't really need to worry about breaking that. Well, it is 485 horsepower, so you can break the law pretty easy, but that's not what it's designed for. So we'll just cruise along with traffic. Um, so yeah, gas tank with any good fortune tomorrow. You get this, like I said, the nose is just sticking out of my garage right now, and I feel terrible about it. But this is what happens when you're waiting on parts and waiting on parts, and then they're not right. And then you got to do 8 other things. So yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry to my neighbors, but I'll get this thing moved and get it out, going as quick as I can. So thanks everyone for hanging out tonight. I really appreciate it. I'm sorry you're not watching me struggle putting this gigantic gas tank in the car and getting one of the straps up and trying to line up the bolt. I'm sorry you're not watching that, but you will get to see that tomorrow. And it'll also give me a chance to go get gas. Well, I have 5 gallons of 93, but I'm going to see if I can get some more 93, and that way we can watch the gas gauge go up together. It's a 24-gallon tank, so if we do 2 5-gallon tanks, that should get us pretty close to half, just under half a tank. So I'll see if I can round up another 5-gallon tank if my neighbors aren't pissed. So, I appreciate everyone hanging out tonight, and thanks for watching the build on this and all the stuff I'm doing, like unjacking all of the wiring that was in here. You guys saw the board last night, and redoing all of this stuff, and it's a time consuming process. It takes a while, and then when you get parts like this, and orders get delayed and stuff, it takes forever, and it gets very, very frustrating. I have a big whiteboard there with a huge list of stuff for the limo, just checking them off, man, one at a time. And I appreciate you guys hanging out with me and checking that stuff off the list with me. So one request I did get was to show more electrical stuff, so we'll do as in-depth as possible with the new relay board. And a lot of people are fearful of electrical, but with cars, it's really great because you're working with a very low voltage, sometimes very high amperage. Like this battery's only like 350 amps, but big boy batteries are 700 whatever. So you are working with bigger amperage, but most of the time you're going to have a fuse in line, or you're going to be able to yank the wire away really quick and not cause any damage. So 12 volts is not shouldn't be feared. 6 volts and 24 volts also shouldn't be feared. When you start getting into 240 and wiring in, 3-phase and, sheet metal shears and big, huge 20 horsepower air compressors, that's when it starts to get a little bit hairy. And that's when you get fun gloves and full gear. And yeah, but when you're doing 12 volts off of this stuff, It's usually very simple and very straightforward, especially with DC, uh, direct current. It makes it very easy. And it's also one of those, if hooking it up this way doesn't work, then and you didn't blow a fuse, hook it up this way and I bet you it works. That's the great part about DC. When you get into AC, you get into neutrals, you get into all this other stuff, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. So that's what's great about DC. If it doesn't work one way, flip it around. It'll probably work the other way. We can put all these test leads back here. So that will be, I'll try and get a little bit more detailed when we're doing wiring with the relay box and all of that. So just hopefully dispel fears. Wiring is one of those, when you're working with little tiny wires like this. I don't even have the wire strippers out to pull this apart. This is 22 gauge. It's really tiny. When you're working with tiny wires and you got multiples of them, you got 50 of them, whatever, it can get overwhelming and it can get frustrating. But the trick is knock them out one at a time. Just keep going. You'll get a system. You'll get good at crimping. You'll get good at, pinning. If you crimp it and then you put it in the pin slot, crimp it, pin slot, crimp it, pin slot. It'll be like super smooth. You'll get really good at it. Most of the time, you're going to have a wiring diagram that's going to help you. So, when you don't have a wiring diagram, oh God, that's fun. Or when you're trying to do completely outrageous stuff like turn an OBD1 car into an OBD2 car, that's when things get really hairy. And what we did on the MR6 was pretty amazing. You won't see that anywhere. You won't see that on YouTube. You're not going to see that anywhere else. No other ding dongs have tried to do that. Everyone will do standalone. They'll do a Haltech. They'll do a Motec. Anything else other than trying to go OBD2. But yeah, we did that. That was fun. But it is a lot of wiring. It's a lot of wiring. So don't be afraid of it. And also, the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get at it. You might get shocked. You might get juiced. It is just 12 volts. So it's kind of like licking a 9-volt battery. If you haven't done that yet, I don't know what the hell you're doing online. But yeah, it's a little jolt and you're like, oh, Jesus, all right, that's the wrong wire. You learn quick. It's like the dogs with the shocker collar. You juice yourself. You're like, okay, I learned that that's the hot. So don't be afraid of it. Don't stress too much about it. And like I said, if it doesn't work one way, flip it and it'll probably work. And yeah, we'll get into fuses and relays. There's a few different kinds of relays, but most of them are standard. Bosch 87 is pretty standard relay that's used in thousands and thousands of cars. And once you get good at wiring up those relays, then you can use them for a myriad of stuff. You can use them for aftermarket, like LED light bars, uh, crazy lighting systems, and whatever. You can do crazy stuff. Switch on huge power inverters that turn on hot tubs in limos. You can do stuff like that. So you'll get better at it, and you'll understand the versatility of what's available, and you won't be afraid of it. So we'll keep going on this, and thank you guys so much for hanging out. I really appreciate it. If there is something you want to see, like I got that request about the wiring stuff. If there is something you want to see, please send me a message. I'm happy to go in depth as we're doing this. I'll go into more detail on specific things. And if it's something Viper specific or Miata specific or on the Grom or on the other motorcycle, let me know. Or if it's something, on the truck, I can do that too. But don't be afraid. Just shoot me a message. And next time we get to that project, I'll definitely go in depth on it and go a little deeper than just covering the basics. So I appreciate you guys hanging out tonight. And we will definitely pick up where we left off here tomorrow, hopefully earlier in the evening, because I'd really like to get this thing running and driving. It's driving me crazy that it's just sitting here. It's been 6 days, 7 days now. 6 days. So, yeah, it pisses me off. It needs to be running and driving. Um, so yeah, we'll pick up where we left off and we'll get this thing rolling. Don't forget to show someone that you love them today, tonight, tomorrow. Give me a kiss on the cheek, give me a kiss on the tip of their nose, hold their hand, give it a squeeze. It's really important for them, but it is far more important for you. Speaking of important, what the hell is going on here? You guys didn't say anything about my hair? The hell? Anyway. All right. Thanks, everyone. I will catch you tomorrow. All right. Have a great night and have a kick ass weekend, too. All right. Cool. I got to kill all these mosquitoes. So many mosquitoes.